Hi guys, and welcome to AirAbility, your regular dose of lead therapy. And today I'm going to be talking about how to mark your World Rules Benchrest targets correctly. And first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about the motivation behind this video. And first of all, it's educational. I've seen a lot of posts over the years where people who are new to the sport put pictures of their mark cards up on the internet to show people how they're coming along and how they're improving. There's a small minority of people who love to belittle these individuals, saying that the cards are not marked correctly and they're inflating their scores. Now, this sort of talk doesn't encourage shooters and it doesn't look good for the sport. And hopefully this little resource in the future, if you spot somebody who needs a little bit of help marking the cards, you can point them towards this video and you know, they'll be able to do it properly. Now, before you start to mark your cards, if you're going to do it seriously and accurately, you do need one thing, and you need a marking probe, like this one. Now, why do you need a marking probe? Well, most Benchrest air rifle shooters use .177 caliber, and the cards are marked at .22 caliber. Now, you might think, how do you do that? Well, this probe fits through the .177 hole, and there's a little raised flange on the edge of the probe. Now what we do is we mark the cards using the flange and not the bare hole itself, because the flange gives us the viewpoint as if a perfect 2-2 pellet had gone through the card. And you know, it really increases the accuracy that you can mark your cards. And remember, when you're shooting Benchrest, the smallest fraction of a millimetre can win a competition. So you really need to know what you're scoring. So here we go. Here's a card I shot earlier, and this is how I went about marking it. And hopefully it's going to be some use to you. So remember guys, these targets are available from the Benchrest UK website, as well as the probes I've been using in this video. When you go to an event, they lift the standard and marking right up to the maximum. They even use electronic magnifying glasses to make sure you get every X that's due to you. How do you mark a World Rules and Benchrest UK target? Well, I'll tell you. I'm using a practice target here, as the scores for each ring are clearly marked, except the bull, which is a central ring. It's only 2mm across and it's worth 10 points. If you touch or break the line once you probed your pellet hole, that is 10 points to you. But if you completely obliterate the bull and there's nothing left of it, that is known as an X. And the number of X's you score can be used as a tiebreaker if you score the same points as another competitor. Now, to score a 9, the probe pellet hole just has to touch or break the 9 line. And that's the same for the 8, 7, 6 and 5. It's really easy to score. Just remember, if you touch or break the line, you score the point. Here's the target I shot earlier. It came out at 246. I did a combination of marking it by eyeball and using the probe, although at the end I did go over the whole target with the probe to make sure the scores were correct. Here we go. Number 1, definitely not an X once I probed it, but it was worth a try. And number 2 is a good solid 10. I wouldn't mind a few more of them. And as we move on to number 3, yep, that was an X, no doubt about it. Quite happy with that. And number 4, another solid 10. Now moving on to 5, that was a 10 also. I hope I can plod along like this all day. But sadly not. On number 6 I twitched a bit and there's a 9. Once I probed it, I thought it would move to a 10, but it didn't. And then 7 straight back to an X. So number 8, I thought that was a 7, but once we probed it, it went into the 8. And number 9 here and number 10 are 2 good solid 10s, and as you can see, double checked number 10 to make sure, and you have to look all the way around the probe to make sure that you're scoring it right. Now 16 was obviously an X, and 17 again I double checked it with the probe, and again it came out as a 10 with a little bit hanging over the edge. 18 and 19 were good solid 10s, but I managed to finish that line off with an X. I was quite happy about that. 21 and 22 again, 2 solid 10s, but I finished the card off with 3 X's, as you can see here. I even probed the last one to make sure it was an X, and yep, there's no line hanging out there, is there? So that's an absolute X, and I was well happy with that. Just one final thing, guys. You might be thinking, what's that P in the corner of some of the targets? Well, that P is just to denote that I've probed the hole to double check the score. Now, we do advise that you don't probe a hole multiple times, as the hole may end up slack, and that may give you varying results when you're marking the card. Well, I found that interesting, and I was the one doing it. But anyway, just a further thing to note. I think a lot of people get discouraged when they're shooting at home or they're shooting at the range in their favourite lane and they're getting some super high scores. And then they come along to one of our competitions and those averages are not realised in a competition environment. And don't be worried about that, because, you know, everybody, you know, posts these grand scores when shooting at home, you know, right up there, up to 250. I've done quite well this year and won 2 competitions outright on the BRUK tour, and I've never shot a 250 in competition. My highest this year was 248. I think people need to realise that 250 is not the starting point, it is what we are looking to achieve outdoors. Also, you know, remember that your personal best is actually what you shoot in competition, not what you shoot at home. Because they're always a percentage higher what you shoot in a comfortable environment. So I hope this video has encouraged people to mark the cards correctly, and encourage people to come along to one of our competitions and see how close you can get to those home-baked scores out there, testing your metal against other shooters side by side. Well guys, until next time, take care, and remember, always have a safe backstop. Bye bye.